Hello everyone and welcome back to Collegedunia Study Abroad. We're back with another interesting candidate, another interesting video and another story of studying abroad. Today we have Sreejith with us, जिन्होंने अपनी मास्टर्स डिग्री परस्यू करी है in electrical and computer engineering from the University of Washington. We will learn a lot of things about University of Washington because we had an in-depth conversation with Sreejith. Make sure you're watching this whole video till the end and do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel as well. Now, before we start our video, if you have a study abroad dream, go check out the first link in the description box, fill in your basic details and our expert counselors will reach out to you very shortly. We also have two very interesting offerings, the visa guarantee package and the offer letter guarantee package, so make sure you are checking out them as well. Now, without any delays, let's move ahead in our conversation. Hi Srijit, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing perfectly fine. Okay, Srijit, do you want to introduce yourself to our users?
Yes, for sure. Hi everyone. I am Sreejith. I'm basically from Trivandrum in Kerala. I did my undergrad from the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and my major was in electronics and communication engineering. I graduated in 2021, and immediately after that, I came to the US for my master's. So I didn't have any prior work experience back in India. And as for my master's, I joined the electrical and computer engineering department at the University of Washington. And my areas of coursework have been mainly around like machine learning and data science. And I completed my master's in a year and a half. I completed during the March of this current year, that's March 2023. And since then, I've been working with Walmart as a data scientist in their point of sale team.
That's perfect. That's awesome. Like we have a full circle over here in terms of somebody going to abroad, studying, setting up their whole life, and now they have a full-fledged job for themselves. Srijit, my first question would be, how does it feel after like 2 years now? How does it feel, your decision of coming to the US?
Yeah, so I mean, these 2 years, there have been a lot of good and bad experiences, and there have been a lot of struggles, and I wouldn't regret any of it because every one of those experiences have made me whom I am today. So I've enjoyed this whole 2 years being abroad, and personally for me, my learning both inside and outside the classroom over the course of these 2 years has been more than any other year. So that keeps me excited for what is to come in for my future as well.
I want you to go back in time, take a couple steps back, and while you were researching about which country to go, which college to choose, can you tell us what all colleges did you apply to? Where all did you receive the accepts from, and you got the rejects as well?
Okay, so for the universities that I got admit from, I got admit from University of Washington, Seattle, and University of Southern California. So 2 admits. And I was shooting for a lot of ambitious universities, so I have quite a few rejects as well. I have 4 rejects from Carnegie Mellon University, University of California, Los Angeles, that is UCLA, Columbia University, and University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. So these were my 4 rejects. And I also, like looking back, I would have done one thing differently. Like I was a major in electronics and communication engineering back during my undergrad, right? But while I was applying to like some of these schools like Columbia or I was applying to CSE programs, and when I look back, I feel I should have applied to ECE programs because I feel there's a better chance. Because consider me having a profile in ECE and someone having a profile in CSE who has done a lot of CSE courses. I feel like they would meet the prerequisites more and all of that. So I feel like it's easier for a CSE student to get admitted to a CSE program than for a ECE student to get admitted to the CSE program. So that's something that I changed when I was applying to these ambitious schools. But yeah, these were my 2 admits, and I'm glad I chose the University of Washington.
Okay, so if I have to ask you, on what basis were you shortlisting your universities? This is where I want to apply to, and what is the right course of action that an aspirant should take, whoever is right now thinking about going to abroad? How should they select their colleges?
Yeah, so there were like multiple factors that I considered. So firstly, you have to give location a priority. So by location, I mean there are multiple aspects to location as well. So location is tied to the cost of living. So like Seattle is one of the expensive places, but it's not as expensive as say San Jose or like parts of California, but it's more expensive than some other parts of the US. So location, like the cost of living is something that I considered, and also the opportunities in that area. So for example, in Seattle, we have a lot of companies there, like in the the Seattle area, we have Amazon, we have Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, and all like top tech companies. So the thing about University of Washington is they have a lot of like associations with these companies. These companies come and sponsor projects in many departments. So there's one way to reach out to people in different companies for us. So like if you are in a place where there's a lot of companies, and this program also has like a capstone project where company sponsors these projects, then that's a big plus. So that's another thing that I considered. And also tied to location is the climate. It might be like kind of undervalued, but it is super important. I can't be in a place where the average temperature is like minus 10 degrees Celsius or
Yes.
like all of that. So Seattle, it's kind of a moderate temperature, and all the places that I applied to, I feel they don't have like an extreme like cold weather. So the climate, I've also heard of someone like who had to go back to India or who had to go to some other country just because of the weather. So don't underestimate the weather factor. So that's something. And also, while applying, I made sure I had a mix. Although I applied to more ambitious universities, I did apply to like for me, I had a good GPA. I'll get to my profile later when you ask that question. But I had a good GPA, so I felt USC was a safe university. USC, like looking at the past admits, they prefer people who have a good GPA. That's based on my research. So I consider okay that's going to be my safe university. And so there's no point applying to 4 safe universities and getting 4 admits, right? So that's why I went for a lot more ambitious university. So that was my thought process. So that and also the tuition and the cost of living, which is the cost of living is tied to the location, of course, and the tuition as well. And it depends on if it's a private university, a public university. I had a mix of everything in my applications.
Understood. Now, what all exams did you have to give, and what were your exact scores in those exams?
Okay, yeah. So I gave the GRE and the TOEFL. For GRE, I had a score of 323 on 340, and the split up was for quant, I had 169 on 170. For verbal, I had 154 on 170, and for analytical writing, I had a score of 4 on 6.
Okay.
So this was GRE. And
did you also give any language proficiency exams?
Yes, I gave TOEFL, and for TOEFL, I had a score of 109 on 120.
Okay.
And the breakdown was I had 30 on 30 for reading, 28 on 30 for listening, 29 on 30 for speaking, and 23 on 30 for writing.
Okay.
So yeah, this was my breakdown. And as for the requirements specifically for University of Washington,
yes, that was my next question that I was going to ask too. University of Washington, did it require GRE and TOEFL?
So GRE wasn't required, wasn't mandatory for University of Washington ECE. It depends from department to department. I applied to the electrical and computer engineering department. So it wasn't mandatory, but I did submit the score since I had given the test. But for some of the other universities, I believe, I don't remember exactly, but they wanted GRE. So that's why I gave the GRE anyway. And GRE also made it easier for me to prepare for TOEFL. Just took like a couple of weeks to prepare for TOEFL.
Yes.
And for TOEFL, I believe, UW ECE, again, it's specific from department to department, had a minimum requirement score of 92 on 120, and I had 109. So, and
that's great.
To get like a teaching assistantship, you need a specific score of more than 26 on speaking in TOEFL. That's another requirement.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting fact.
This is again for UWC, and it can vary with respect to departments. And in case you don't have that score on 26 of 30 and you still want to be a teaching assistant, you could either take the TOEFL again after you come here, or you could do the IELTS. So, or the university also has a course, like an English course for teaching assistants. So you could take that course during one of the quarters and have that requirement.
Okay, I think we'll come to the TA and RA positions. We'll come to this topic later in the conversation. But I want you to tell us the whole admission process that was out there for the University of Washington. What all did you need to do? How many SOPs were required? What about the LORs as well? Can you take us through all of this?
Yes. Other than GRE and TOEFL, I had to submit a statement of purpose, 3 letters of recommendation, and my resume. And for my letters of recommendation, if you want the breakdown, I got 2 academic and 1 related to my internship. So 2 academic were from my head of the department at the College of Engineering Trivandrum, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, and the second was from my research guide. I did a bit of research during my undergrad as well. So these were my 2. And third, since I didn't have any work experience, I asked my industry mentor during my internship at ISRO. So that's where I got my 3rd LOR.
Okay.
And for SOP,
that's great.
Yes, there weren't any, like, I believe it was the requirements for the SOP might have changed now, but when I submitted an SOP for UW, it was 500 words and 2 pages. Yeah, so I remember me writing like a whole 1,000-page SOP, and then I had to cut it short to 500 words. So that was specific to UW, but I think most of the other schools I applied to accepted like 2 pages and like I think 1,000 words, like around that limit.
And so you mentioned right now that you did an internship at ISRO. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to tell us what was that exactly and what were you doing?
Yes. Yeah, so I was majoring in electronics and communication, right? And I was applying to like a lot of these ML oriented programs. So I had to get a lot of like build up my profile. And it was mostly during that COVID period in 2020 where I like worked on improving my profile. And that time I did a few like online courses in related to machine learning. I did a few projects in machine learning. I feel it's not the online courses that matter. It's a project that you do after learning from those courses that matter. So
Exactly.
like schools want to see how you applied the things that you learned. So those, and along with that, like you asked, like I did my internship, which was also related to machine learning. And it was related to like identifying like lip syncing for a robot. So that was a project I did it for a whole 3 months at ISRO. It's part of a bigger project, so it's not like an end-to-end.
Of course.
Yeah, it was for a humanoid, and I believe that would be used for the Gaganyaan mission, which is going to happen, I think, in 2024.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think when it comes to abroad universities who you know see such experiences, such past experiences, the profile gets very unique in that term. Right. Related to the admission process of University of Washington, did any interview happen? Did anything else happen while you were applying for the whole university?
No, there wasn't any interview for the master's program, but I believe PhD programs do have an interview. You'll have to talk to the professor. You have to.
By any chance, do you know what is the conversation that's happening in an interview for international?
So I don't know the specifics, but I know for the PhD applications, like students have to submit a research proposal. Like they have to study what the professor has done, what they are experienced in, and try to link both of them. So they have to submit the research proposal, and the conversation can revolve around that. I'm not entirely sure, but that's my assumption. But for masters, there's no interview. And it was a straightforward process where I submitted all these. And I missed one of the requirements from your early question. Also, we had to submit the transcripts, and my GPA was 9.7 on 10 for my undergrad. So I guess that helped. And I feel like all profiles were evaluated holistically. Like for there is a cutoff for TOEFL 92, but for GRE, I don't think there's like a hard cutoff. It's just if it's a good score, then you're good. That's it.
We'll come to the kind of profiles that University of Washington accepts. We'll come to that point later. But I want to understand, like, once you applied to the university, what was the timeline that you were looking to? Like, how soon did you got a reward from them?
Okay, so I applied. I did all my applications by December 15. That's when I think a lot of these schools have their application deadlines.
Right.
And I heard back from the University of Washington around early March, and I heard back from USC also a week later. So, and all the rejects, like all the 4 rejects came a bit later. I think I got the 2 admits first, and then the 4 rejects.
Okay.
Yeah, but
what was the first university that accepted you, that gave you an acceptance letter?
It was University of Washington.
Okay. Can you maybe tell us the whole moment when you saw your first accept letter? Ki, chalo, now I'm going to the US. That's the final.
Yeah. So I remember it was like one morning, and the mail did not come in my inbox. It actually went to my, I think, promotions or the socials folder. So I didn't notice it first. So like I was happy. I was with my parents, and I informed my friends that day, and I talked to a lot of people. It was exciting going to the US. Like I didn't know what all to expect, but 2 years down the line, I don't regret anything that happened. Like I said earlier.
That's great. People mess up a lot once they're initially packing for their ride to the US. What all things were you packing in your first attempt while you were making the whole transfer from India to US?
So I was in a like an apartment with 4 people. So we kind of split a lot of the utensils and all the other things that we were supposed to bring. So we like all of us didn't have to carry everything. I think I traveled through Qatar Airways, so 3 bags were allowed, 3 bags of 23 kgs each. So that was a lot. So I did carry a lot of utensils, and my roommates did as well. But we made sure like we didn't have like 4 cookers or like that number. So there was a good communication between us. And of course, clothes.
Acha, you knew these folks that were about to become your roommate. You knew these folks beforehand?
No, I got to know like I decided my roommates around like June, July, and I was up. And University of Washington usually starts late. We follow a quarter system, so not a semester system. So it's like 4 quarters during the year. So school starts in September, and by I think like June, July-ish, I had finalized my roommates, and after that's when packing happened, right? So we had a lot of conversations. We made a lot of lists, like split things up. And yeah, so that's why I didn't have to carry the whole thing. So that, and of course the clothes and all of it. And there are some things that you can buy from the US. Like I didn't buy like all these kind of jackets which withstand cold weather. Like I believe I brought like a 1 or 2, but most of my purchase has been from here. There are some cheap stores, like in Seattle especially. There's a store called Ross, which I go and buy stuff from. It's super cheap. Like you get like these for like $15. I guess in India too, for a good jacket, you need to pay that much, right?
Yeah, amazing. That's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
packing, it was just about making a list. So I mean, it was maybe while like watching some random YouTube video, that might I remember, okay, I need to get like pack this as well. So I'll just note down to my list. So whenever I remember something, I was just noting down to that list so that I don't forget anything. So
okay, did you stream a lot of YouTube while you were going to the US in order to get information? Did you stream a lot of YouTube?
Yes, so I did YouTube, and I reached out to a lot of people on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
So for YouTube, it was kind of like all the general information that you get. Like I didn't watch any specific videos related to University of Washington. So I'm glad like you're doing this. So maybe for like the future students, they don't have to go to many places to get all the information. So this video, all the information that I'm giving helps. But I didn't have this kind of resource. And the one thing about me is I started in 2021. And in 2020, there weren't like seniors for me. Like no one, no Indian students, or maybe like very few, would have gone to the US in 2020 when there was COVID, right? So there wasn't any direct person to reach out to. But for my juniors who are they have reached, like a lot of people reach out to me and my friends who studied with me. So if there were seniors, I probably would have utilized them as well. So since there weren't, I couldn't. And instead, I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn who already graduated from University of Washington and who were working. So I did get some information from them.
Okay, perfect. So let's say if by any chance you remember anything about YouTube, who was your go-to resource or go-to channel for any study abroad resource? Do you want to give a shout out to any particular channel or a creator or any influencer?
Yes, yep. So Parth is probably very popular among
Parth Vijay Varghese, right?
Yeah, yes. So I for packing too, I just remember now he had a list of things that we should pack. So I did check out his list, and he had videos for literally like everything, I guess, like preparing for career fairs, attending the career fairs, so all of it. So I used to watch a lot of his videos. So I definitely want to shout out to him. And there were like some other creators as well. I don't remember the name exactly, but there's someone from Northeastern University who also gave a lot of good information. So him, and there is also UDJ and Harnoor Singh.
Yes. I think for the folks who are aiming for US, Parth, Harnoor Singh, and all these folks are the best resource to go out there. And Parth is one of my favorites as well. So yes, cool. Okay. Now moving forward to when you've arrived in Seattle and you're going towards your university. It's the first day. Can you explain the whole first day? What happened? How was your reaction after seeing the university? And what all happened during your orientation time?
Yeah, first impressions of the university was stunning. Like the architecture, like how the buildings are, the libraries. And I'm not saying this because I'm a student at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
I was a student, but I have friends from other schools come and actually like appreciate how beautiful the campus is. So we have a library which looks like the Harry Potter dining room. It's called
Oh.
Susallo Library. And like a really good, you can view like a Mount Rainier from campus. So that's also like a stunning sight. And all the buildings too. I was so impressed by the campus. So those were my first impressions. And it was such a big campus. I was worried that during 2 years I wouldn't like be able to explore the whole campus. It was that big. But yeah, I loved the campus. And as for the orientations for my program, we did have a lot of like online orientation sessions, since it was just the time when school restarted in person. I think it was completely online in 2020, right? So we had a couple of online orientation sessions with professors, and we did have one in-person orientation, or like a social where I could meet my classmates and make new friends as well.
Interesting.
And also, international students specifically, there is still an organization called FIUTS, Foundation for International Understanding through Students. So they handle the onboarding related to like for all international students, like letting us know like visa specific information, like telling us what we as international students should do after arrival at the US. So FIUTS was doing that when I was studying, but right now it's UW Circle who is doing it.
Okay. Understood. All right. Now, that's again very interesting information. But now I want to ask you, because we are now going to talk about the campus. I want to first touch upon the batch that you had. How many folks were there, and what did the whole batch look like? Where were the people coming from? And if I have to ask you, what were their profile academic backgrounds, basically?
Yeah. So we didn't have like a cohort. So I mean, on camp in ECE, for me, there weren't any mandatory courses that I have to do. So for each class, I would see like different people. But on average, for classes which are related to machine learning, data science, there were like about 35-40 people per class.
Okay.
And for like hardware related courses, I believe it was like 20-25, sometimes more if it's a very interesting topic. So that was the average class size. And about the background of the people, so like for me, about the Indians who were in my specific program, so UWEC also has two programs. One is like it's called the daytime program, and the other is called the professional masters program. So professional masters program is more of like industry focused. You still get the same degree for both. Master of Science it's called electrical engineering. So we get the same degree for both, but the courses here in the professional program are more industry oriented, and the courses in the daytime program are more theoretical and more like for research. So I was part of the professional program because my main focus was the industry. And for me, there were a lot of Asians, not Indians, but there were a lot of Asians from like China, Taiwan. So they were the majority. And as for Indians, for my whole program in EC, there were like I think like around, I can count up to like 12-15 Indians.
If I have to ask you, what was the general profile that, or the common things that these Indian profiles used to have, these Indian students used to have? Like, what is the common profile? I want to understand the common profile that University of Washington accepts when it comes to Indian students.
Okay, so I believe almost all of my friends had a good amount of work experience. So some of my closest friends had experience of like 3 years, 4 years. So work experience, yeah, that's something. But I didn't have a work experience, and I still got in. And I had another one of my friends who graduated 2 years earlier, but he was having his own startups for 2 years, and then he decided to come to the US. So he also got an admit. So I don't feel like having work experience is mandatory. Yeah, so that's something.
But if let's say you don't have it, you should have a good amount of GPA and maybe some good projects or research papers that you've worked upon, right? Do you think that's
yes? Yeah, and you need to do good projects. Like I said, projects are the single most important thing. And if you can do research, that's also good. And these need to be conveyed in your SOP, right? Like if you are like, so in my SOP, if you want a structure about my SOP, like the things that I included.
Yeah,
that
why
helps.
not? Cool.
So I had different things in my SOP. Firstly, I was majoring in ECE during my undergrad electronics, and I decided to shift for ML. So why did I do that? That was something that I covered, and I had a paragraph on my projects. Like not all the projects, but the impactful projects. And for every project, I made sure that I conveyed my learning from it. It's not that I didn't want. That's something that I see very common in some SOPs that I've received checked as well. Like people just like say like convey themselves as a doer, but that's not how it should be. It should be like we should convey ourselves as an achiever. So I try to do that for my SOP, and that's what I recommend all incoming students to do as well. And then had a project about my research experience. Again, for research experience too, rather than just saying that I did 1, 2, 3 things, I made sure I conveyed the learning out of them. And for internship, I had a paragraph on my internship as well. And also I made sure I mentioned my soft skills, since I feel like sometimes those are overlooked upon. Those are also very important. Collaboration, teamwork, communication, these skills are super important. And the most important paragraph is the paragraph about why you want to go to the university. About I covered different aspects like the course, the faculty, and the student community. And specifically, I did research on professors about what they have done and what is my experience, and like how are they related. So I made sure I covered that as well. So I mean, in your SOP, in anyone's SOP, I'd recommend to add all of this. Yeah, even if you don't have the work experience, make sure you do projects, do courseworks, but courseworks alone aren't sufficient. Do projects related to what you want to major in, and build a solid profile along the course of like a whole year, and you should be good to apply.
Perfect. Now let's jump to the expenses part, because I believe when people think about studying abroad, the biggest hurdle that's out there is the expenses and how to go about it, right? What is the tuition fee for your program?
So my program required 45 credits. So it varies from program to program. The daytime MSc program only required 42 credits. Another program required 60 credits. So mine required 45 credits. And it was a per credit fees. For 1 credit, it was about $1,022. So let's approximate that to 1,000. So 45 credits, $45,000. And there are some miscellaneous administrative expenses, all of that, right? So adding everything, it wouldn't go above $50,000. And all the data that I'm saying, it's from September 2021. It has increased a bit now, not too much, but 1,022 would have become like something close to 1,100 now. That's the only change.
Cool. Putting a pin to the number, your tuition fee is somewhere around $50,000, right?
Yeah.
How were you sponsoring your education? Did you take any loan, or were you doing it on your own?
Yeah, I was sponsoring on my own. So I didn't take any loan. And there is another thing related to all the tuition expenses. So if you get a TA or an RA, you get tuition waived off for the whole quarter. So for the whole 3 months.
I wanted to ask you about the TA and the RA positions. What did you apply to, and how much were you earning? How many hours were you working, and what was your exact work?
Okay, so I was a grader, not a TA. So graders usually like grade the assignments. We don't like teach in class. So I was a grader, and I was earning about $16.50 per hour. But right now, I think the minimum wage is around $18 an hour. So I was a grader for a good chunk of my master's. So I mostly met my monthly expenses from the grader pay. And also after internship, I did save quite a bit. And so after internship, I didn't have to, even though I had the grader job, I didn't have to solely depend on that for my like living expenses. And for getting a TA, I wasn't a TA or an RA, but if you are a TA or an RA, you'll get the whole tuition waived off for the quarter. So every quarter, say you do like 10 credits every quarter, so that's like $10,000, right? You get $10,000 waived off, and you'll get about $3,000 per month as well in pay. So that's about TARA. And for getting TARA, firstly, for teaching assistantships and research assistantships, the preference goes to PhD students, since they are guaranteed funding. And all the, like after they are allotted with all the PhD students, that's when master students get the opportunities. So for me, I personally felt in like ML, it's like too many people. So it was like difficult for me. And also for me, I was in the professional master's program, which was more of industry focused. If you're doing more of research, I didn't do a lot of research during my master's. I was focusing on getting a job in the industry. If you are focused more on research, then you'll be working more closely with the professor, and there's more chance to get research assistantship.
Okay. When can you start applying for TA and RA positions? In the first semester itself?
Yeah, TA, RA grader, all of it. You get an email saying that all the positions are open and you can apply. This is quarter to quarter hiring. So we have 4 quarters, like I said, and each quarter is 10 weeks. That is another thing about the University of Washington. I feel a lot of schools have semester system, right? So 10 weeks, it goes by so quick. Each quarter goes by so quick. Like, there's pros and cons to that. If you don't like a subject, it gets done in like 10 weeks, super quick. And if you like a subject, you can enjoy it for 10 weeks. So you can look at it in 2 ways. So before every quarter, you get a link to the applications, and that's where you have to apply.
Perfect. Now that we have talked about your tuition expense and your source of earning as well, the part-time job, let's talk about your living cost. During the initial years, where were you living, on campus or off campus, and how much cash were you burning?
Okay, so I was living off campus. Off campus is cheaper than on campus at the University of Washington. So during my first year, I was sharing a room with my friend. So there were 4 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the rent for the 2-bedroom apartment was $2,400. So I paid $600 excluding utilities. So that was my rent. And for utilities, internet would be somewhere around $15 per person. Like phone, all those like the phone carrier expenses would be like around $30 per person. Electricity depends on the season. Like you might use a lot more heater during winter season and less during summer or spring. So electricity on average, I think around like $30-ish per month, or maybe lesser. Yeah, like I said, it depends on the season. I'm talking about probably December when I say 30. So that, and other utility expenses like garbage, water, all of it should be like around 10-ish, 15-ish. And also you have to get the renter's insurance, which is fairly cheap. Like it's $15 per month if you split it among 4 people. It's not that much, right? So renter's insurance, and other than that, groceries as well, which should be around like $150-$200 per month.
So try putting a pin on an exact number. This is the amount that an international student has to keep aside for their survival in a month.
So this was during my first year. All the numbers that I was saying, I think it was around 900-ish, 900 per month. But during my second year, the living expense changed. That is, I moved to a house rather than an apartment. I love living in a house. It gives like a homely feeling. There's a front yard and a backyard and all of it. I love being in a house. So I had my own room, and I paid around $775. So the rent increased by $170, and I had my own room. So yeah, it was from 900, it maybe went to like 1,000. And the rent typically would be in this range. It should be around like 600 to 800, 900.
What is the average rent in Seattle around University of Washington?
Yeah, so in U district, that's where the university is. You can get from like 600 to 900. You can go up to like 1,000. 1,100. But yeah, students actually prefer, I felt like most students go for less than 900, less than 800.
And how should an international student go about house hunting? What are the best resources?
Yeah, so every year when students are about to join the University of Washington, like someone creates a WhatsApp group, and in that WhatsApp group, they'll post an Excel sheet where we could just enter our information about who we are, where we are from, what are our preference for roommates. So I had that, and my juniors also had that when they joined the University of Washington. So I found my roommates from that Excel sheet. So yeah, I tried to join any WhatsApp group for the university and try to meet people. So that's where you can get roommates. And as for getting the apartments, you can go to apartments.com, zillow.com. So these are the 2 popular places where we find apartments.
Perfect. I think these information will be very helpful for whoever is going to watch this video. And for all the viewers who are watching right now, I have mentioned Sreejith's LinkedIn URL in the description as well. If you have any questions, if you have any things that you want to discuss from him, you can just straightly ping to him on LinkedIn, and let's hope he try and entertain you. Right?
I mean, for sure, I'll be happy to help anyone, and I will for sure respond to all LinkedIn messages.
Cool. So Yeah, Sreejith, see, 50,000 US dollars is a lot of amount when it comes to tuition fee. University of Washington, does it provide any scholarship to international students?
Yeah, like I said, scholarships are in the form of TAs and RAs.
Apart from that, anything, any
I'm not aware of
need-based or any merit-based scholarship?
I am not aware of any merit-based scholarship that any of my friends got, but I have some friends during their masters, they got some awards or some kind of things like where you get like $6,000, $7,000. So I've seen that, but not as scholarships like which reduce the tuition fee. I haven't seen that. And as for part-time, there's something that I missed. So there's also housing and food services, and they require a ton of students. So for sure, if anyone wants a part-time job, they'll get it in housing and food services. There are dining and non-dining positions.
Okay.
So part-time job is kind of easy to get. That's what I feel at the University of Washington. Almost everyone who tries gets it. And the pay is similar to that I talked for the grader that I worked as. The minimum wage in Washington, I think it's now $18.87 or something around that range.
Okay. Let this come as a record that if somebody who's having difficulty in finding their part-time jobs, they can straight away go to Sreejith and fight in the LinkedIn DMs. Ki, dude, you only said that we can get part-time jobs very easily. Where is it now?
Yeah, I mean,
But
about part-time jobs too, make sure that you apply early since there'll be a ton of students who are looking for jobs. So apply early in that HFS website, Housing and Food Services website, and go actually meet the managers working in those HFS locations. So, I mean, that gives you a better chance. And my year and for the students who came immediately after, in the next year, that's in 2022. I believe that everyone who wanted a HFS job did get one, and I hope that's the case even now.
okay, perfect. Those are some good notes. Now, let's pivot towards the main point of studying abroad, which is getting the best ROI possible, right? And Seattle, as per, is good hub for FANG companies. So, how did you manage to get a job at Walmart? How did you go about job hunting? And how difficult is it for an international student to get a job in a foreign country?
Yes. So firstly, I made a mistake by applying late. That's something which I wouldn't recommend anyone to do. So I came here in September. University of Washington already starts classes late, which is September. Most schools start in August. So, and during my first quarter, I was just focused on the coursework. I took 2 intense courses, which I probably shouldn't have. So from later on, I realized I should go for 1 tough course and 1 like easy doable course. But during my first quarter, I made the mistake of 2 intense courses. So I was fully focused on that. And I started applying on January 1st. I still remember like New Year, 12 a.m. And I wasn't outside. New Year, new beginnings. And I started applying. And I got my internship by March 2022. I started applying in Jan 2022 and I got my March 2022. And I was applying through the company portal. So I used to just look at think of company names, look at the career pages and apply. And you'd have also had career fairs. And the career fairs during my first year were virtual. So that's not a great thing. But during my second year, they were in person and a lot of companies showed up. Like there was Facebook, there was Walmart, there was Amazon. So there were all these companies who actually came to the career fair. But during my first year, since it was virtual, and I don't believe many companies came, so that didn't help. So I had to do the whole process by myself, and it was a tough process. So that was the first challenge. I told like in the beginning, I told about a lot of struggles that students face when coming to the US. So getting an internship is the first struggle. There will be so many rejections, but you just need one admit, right? One acceptance, right? So keep on applying and never give up. So one of my friends said that the day you stop applying is the day you give up. So don't stop applying. Never.
How many applications did you have to do, to get the first revert from the company? And if you can tell us about that.
Yeah, I did get a few interviews, but to get the offer, I did 90 applications, I believe. Yes, 90. And I had, I think, 3 interviews, including Walmart. And after I got the offer early March, I stopped applying. And there have been friends who got an offer after 10 applications, and there has been a friend who got an offer after 600 applications too. So
Oh.
there's no particular number. So just have to keep on applying consistently, at least 5 jobs every day. Yeah. So it
I
was.
think this is again a very good note for all the viewers who are thinking about studying in the US. Things will be difficult for you, so if you're planning to go abroad, plan very wisely about each and every single step.
Yeah, exactly. And the struggles, so in getting the internship was the first struggle. Okay, everyone wants an internship, but after you get the internship, then you need the job. That's the second struggle. And then after you get the job too, there's all this H1B visa, all of that. That's another challenge. And then after you get all the H1B sorted too, you need to stay in the company, right? You can't be in, you can't just, we need to protect our job. We can't lose our job. If we lose our job again, we have a 60-day period. So I feel like it's one challenge after the other, and these kind of keep on leveling up. Like internship is a challenge, job is like another higher level, level 2, and then H1B and so on. So I feel like all these challenges are leveling up, and we are also leveling up, right? So even if we struggle a lot for internship, it makes us like a lot more mentally stronger, and we'll be ready to tackle the next challenge of job hunt. So, and it's this things like challenges keep on coming, and we'll keep on dealing with them.
Yes. That's a great point. And talking about the packages that come from the University of Washington, what was the highest package? What was the lowest package? And what was the average package of maybe your seniors of your particular batch or of your particular batch?
Yeah, about this, about the packages, I feel it's more of dependent on the location, and it's not specific to the University of Washington. So if you are in Seattle, I guess and it depends on the role as well. It depends on the location and the role. For like a machine learning engineer or a data scientist role, if you are in Seattle, you should be earning at least 120K, I believe, like 120K, 130K. If it's a mid-sized company or so, and it can go up to like 150K, 160K. That's Seattle area. And if you are in a place like where I am, like I'm in Bentonville, Arkansas, like the pay is going to be a bit lesser, since the expenses here are also lesser. So it can be around 100K. So, and if it's California, I feel it should be like 160K or more. Otherwise, it's or 140K or more. 160 might be too much for pressure, but yeah. So all this is ML roles. For mechanical kind of roles, I'm not exactly aware, but I feel it might be a bit lesser than the MLDS kind of roles. And again, it depends on the location. I think that's the single most deciding factor for how much your pay should be, because the living expenses that are directly linked to how much pay you're going to get, right? So that's a and yeah, personally, I feel it's the same for all universities, like mostly location specific. Yeah, and sometimes for some schools which are extraordinary, like those brilliant students might get a bit more. But yeah, for University of Washington, it's like I said, it's mostly based on location.
Okay, perfect. I think we have covered all the important pointers over here, but let's move towards the conclusion now. However, I want to ask you, do you have any weird or any interesting experience that you want to share with the other students that you have maybe experienced in the US? कुछ भी weird या कोई भी ऐसी activity हुई हो तुम्हारे साथ? क्योंकि this is something that we don't usually see in India, but happened to me.
Oh, activity! I can talk about
Any activity, any incident, any encounter, whatever it is.
Okay, cool. So I'll talk about one club that I was a part of at the University of Washington, and I'll share some other experience as well. So I talked about UW Circle, so which does all the orientation for international students right now. So they had a program called Unite, and this is a quarter-long event, so 10-week long event. And I was put in a group, and this is mainly for making friends of different cultures. Right, so in my group there was a person from I believe Korea, China, Taiwan, and Philippines, I believe. So I got to, so with this group I did a lot of fun things for the whole 10 weeks. We went on hikes, we had we went for dinner together, and we had a lot of fun during those 10 weeks. So UW Unite, that is something that I recommend for all UW students to be part of. So I did that after I got my internship. So my first quarter was coursework, second quarter was internship fund, and third quarter was UW Unite. So I had a lot of fun, and I feel like all these experiences are also very important. like getting to meet people of different cultures. I mean, we for sure have Indian friends, and that is needed. But we also need to, like, the whole point of coming outside is to get those different cultural coming abroad is to get all those different cultural experiences, and UW Unite definitely helped me. So that's a great program at UW that I recommend.
Okay.
And other than that, being in the US kind of has transformed the way I talk, or like there are like minute things that have changed, like appreciating people a lot more. Like even if I get out of a bus, I say thank you to the driver. So all these, I think all of these are like some good traits that I developed.
The small things, the little things, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thankful for all like developing those traits as well. And another thing that I recommend everyone to do is to go to different events, different socials. You need to form those connections and be comfortable with talking to strangers, and like say whatever is in your mind. Like don't hold it back. Like as long as it's not something controversial. So be open, like be frank, talk openly to people and build those connections. Go to every single event possible. You never know, like a friend whom you meet at a social or like some event might turn out to be like a really close friend in future. And I did get one such close friend in that way. There was a TA hours for one of the courses during my first quarter, and I went to the TA hours to ask the TA some questions, and I had and there was another person, and he was from China, so he was also there. And at that TA hour we talked, and we were like friends for throughout our masters. We used to like discuss a lot of homeworks together. We used to sit together in the lab, and and it was so much fun with him. And so if I look behind, if I hadn't gone for that one TA hour, probably I would not have met him. So yeah, he's one of my best friends. He's currently in China right now, and I'm still in touch with him. So
okay, perfect.
So that's what I said.
That's sweet. That's sweet. That's very nice. Perfect. Okay, so let's play a small rapid fire round, right? And let's just pretend to be the Karan Johars of our study abroad interview. And my only request is that you have to be honest and you have to be very rapid with your answers. Cool. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. So my first question is: tell me one pro and one con about University of Washington.
So one pro would be like I talked earlier, the campus, the most beautiful campus that I've seen. I've been to a lot, but that's the pro. The con would be, like I said, getting those scholarships or getting those assistantships. Some people do get assistantships, but that was tough for me. So that is something that I missed out on.
Okay. My second question: what is your favorite spot to hang out at the University of Washington?
My favorite spot. So in the department, this is not a popular spot, but this in the department there is a lab called Electronics Lab. So and after like 6 p.m. no one comes there. So like Zongi and I, like Zongi is my Chinese friend. So we used to like sit there and discuss, talk about things. So I love being in that lab. He graduated a year before me, but even after that, I spent a lot of time in that lab. So that is one spot. But if you're talking about popular spots on campus, I mean, there are quite a few. Like there are like really good libraries where you could go and sit. Like I said, there's that Harry Potter library, which is called Susello Library. There's an engineering library from which you get a view of downtown Bellevue. There's a place called Quad where you see all the trees, cherry blossoms during spring. So there's so much like spots on campus.
Cool. Okay. What is your go-to food to survive your college life at the University of Washington?
My go-to food. So this is also related to your district. So there we used to get an ISKCON food truck, and I wasn't aware of this for the first couple of months. But 4 times a week they provide for dinner. So and a lot of people come there to get the food. A lot of Indian students, lot of like international students in general, and there are a lot of like Americans also who come and get the food. So I'm really thankful to the ISKCON food that I got, and I'm sure like a lot of my friends are too. That saved me from cooking for like many days. So they even you get like multiple boxes too. It's not just one box per person. So I can get like 2 boxes and eat. So that is something that stood out to me right now. But other than that, cooking, I'm not a great, I'm still figuring out cooking even after 2 years. I'm not the best of cooks. I cook like dal, which is easy, and like maybe potato, sometimes chenna. So yeah,
Okay,
cooking, but yeah, ISKCON is a blessing.
Perfect. By my second last question, tell me one thing that you would like to change about your program and about your university as well.
Okay, so this is a tough question. But if I could change anything, probably I'd say like again the con of the university, like I said, the scholarships or getting those assistantship. I wish the university would provide more of those, or at least for my program, and getting the assistantship to. I know they have limits, but yeah, I wish like I would have gotten it. So that's something that I would have changed. Yeah.
Anything about your program that you would like to change about?
About my program, it's mostly like one thing. This is not something that I want to change, but this is something I actually like about the program. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Good
sure.
question.
Sure.
So the program administrator, I know her like really well, and I have given her a lot of feedback saying, okay, we need that NLP, natural language processing course, and next year we had that course. I said we need a data structures course, and my friend and I said that, and they gave a course. So they have been like really open to feedback, and that's something I really love about the program.
That's great. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
now to
so-
sum up the whole rapid fire round and to sum up this whole conversation, out of 10, try and rate University of Washington.
I'd say like a solid 9. And it's because of all the different experiences that I had. Like I said, during each quarter, 1 quarter coursework, 1 quarter internship, 1 quarter Unite. So, and the people there, everything influences this rating. And I wouldn't change this. I wouldn't change this university. Like I don't regret like not going to Carnegie Mellon or like any other university. I'm glad that I went to University of Washington, and got to meet all those people, and like, many friends have turned into kind of family now. So yeah, I'm thankful for everything.
Perfect. So Sreejith has rated University of Washington 9 stars out of 10. And thank you so much for giving us your valuable time here. I hope you have a great life ahead. I hope a lot of viewers get to learn a lot of new stuff about University of Washington through this video. And yes, people who are looking to study in the US or have a study abroad dream, if you have any questions, if you have any queries, you can write everything down in the comment section, or you can check out the first link in the description box. Just fill in your basic details and our expert counselors will reach out to you. We also have Sreejith's LinkedIn account, LinkedIn URL as well in our description box. If you want to talk to him, connect with him, that's also a possibility. And if you like this video, do not forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel as well, and thank you so much, Sreejith. Do you have any final words that you want to give out to
Yes.
the students?
So probably these are things that I already said, but it's going to be a tough journey. It's not going to be easy, but definitely don't shy away from it. Don't be worried that, okay, will I get a job in the US and all of that, and don't back out from coming here. Because at the end, it's going to be worth it. Everyone figures it out. Everyone has to go through these challenges. I mean, if it wasn't for these challenges, it's not fun. We need those different struggles to make us mentally stronger as well. So whatever it is, keep fighting. Keep working towards your goal, and yeah, you will be thankful for everything that you did in the end.
Perfect. Okay, Sreejith, time to bid our farewells now. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you. Bye.
So that was everything about Sreejith's journey of studying at the University of Washington. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you got a lot of information about UW. Do not forget to click on the thumbs up button if you like this video. Subscribe to our channel as well, and go on following Collegedunia Study Abroad for more such authentic information. I will be seeing you in the next video. Till then, this is me, Swapnil, signing off. Bye.